Hey guys, Pure Athlete here. Jeff and Britt on the call as Brad is as we're doing this. It is New Year's Eve, so my guess is Brad is somewhere taking a picture with the kids and Snow White, Moana, somebody down there at Disney World. What do you think?
I'm thinking Goofy.
That actually is even better. But we are excited to bring you this episode. It's the new year, um, and it's going to be really cool. But before we get started with that, just Britt, I know you went to Montana with the whole family. Did y'all have a blast?
Yeah, man, we had so much fun. We were there for a little less than a week, and there was nothing restful about it. We went hard snowmobiling and skiing and just hanging out on Christmas, and it was awesome. So glad to be back, but it was fun. How about you? How are your holidays?
I was gonna say, a man of your age, you need a little bounce back time after that,
Dude,
little
you're
rest.
I felt my age so big time when I got back. Oh,
We're great. The kids had a great Christmas, man. We got all sorts of new stuff and Santa was good and we're great, man. Just getting ready for the new year.
hey, that's awesome. And y'all are getting ready to head out for a little break as well.
We are. We're gonna go to some warm weather for a few days before the kids go back to school and get going. And I think that's why we thought this kind of episode that we did. We've never done it before. We brought back a bunch of guests that we've had and just kind of talked about 2024 in the rearview mirror, kind of some a thing that they really loved about youth sports, and then 2025 to finish it off, kind of something they'd like to see continue a positive change. And as I sit there and think about it, how cool that is that these guests, they all have kids, they're all into the youth sports, whether it's baseball, whether it's lacrosse, they're around the landscape. So I thought it was pretty cool. And then I'll let you kind of share. I think we've all been waiting for this moment, but what's some news we got coming on the pure athlete standpoint?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me add my Happy New Year to everybody. So, Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to our audience. And, as we get to the new year, we're all excited about new things and we're all thinking about, what we can do different, which is kind of the theme of the episode. But what you're alluding to is something we're super excited about here at Pure Athlete, and that is a new membership program that we call PA Plus or Pure Athlete Plus. And we have been working diligently for the past 6 months, producing a ton of premium content and a brand new website and just a whole new experience for people who want to go further faster, is what we like to say. Great content from a number of experts and great content around topics, great content around sports, specific sports. Wherever you are in the journey, you're going to be able to go on and get help and ask questions. We're going to have live forums on a monthly basis, and this is going to roll out, Jeff, in the next 4 to 6 weeks. So, and it's just going to be a big part of what we're trying to do, which is help parents and families navigate this environment in a healthy way, but in a way that helps their kids have the best chance to achieve their goals.
Yeah, I agree. We've done this 2.5 years now, and I feel like we've had a lot of people jump on board, Britt. A lot of people love what we're doing, and I think this is perfect. What you said, we're trying to give parents and kids, even coaches, an opportunity to go even farther into sports and to visualize sports, what they're doing, not just, youth sports as a whole but different things that they can help each family. So I'm excited. I think this is going to be really cool, and I hope y'all out there that have been following us and have been listening and enjoying our stuff will want to be a part of because I think it's going to be a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, so we're gonna keep talking about it over the month of January and teasing it out, and so look for that rollout. And with that, Jeff, I will have to say this about today's episode. Brad and I both were out of town. You did all the heavy lifting on this, and I'm so excited about this because I've got a chance to hear over the past several days. You have had conversations with 5 former guests that are great guests, and just talking about those things you said just a minute ago. So thanks for doing that. The way we're going to jump in is we're going to play a segment. We're going to come back in and chat about it for a second, and then play the next segment, and so on and so forth. And then at the end, I think you and I are going to share a little bit about what our hopes are for youth sports in 2025.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun, man. While y'all were out snowmobiling and down at Disney, Brad in the pool sunbathing.
Oh, oh,
I got to give Chris a lot of credit too, man. He did a great job. We were bobbing and weaving with these athletes over Christmas. They were so generous to give us time over the holidays while they were with
yep.
their families. And so I think this is going to be a cool episode. And so, you know what? We'll just get right into it with our first guest. Enjoy. Before we get to the podcast, if you have middle school or high school kids that play sports and you don't want to fundraise like me, we got you covered. My buddy Chris Carneal owns Booster. Chris?
We help schools and sports teams raise funds in a super fun and engaging way. In fact, the last 22 years, we've raised $750 million, and we can't wait to help you. Choose booster.com.
My two partners, Brett and Brad, are finally on vacation, one in Disney and one skiing in Montana. You know, so some people are going to hold the fort down. But I'm going to bring back one of our favorite guests, Dan Orlovsky. Thanks for joining us today, real quick, man.
Good to be with you, bud, as always, man. Not only are you holding it down, I am as well. So while they vacation, we're here doing it.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're excited. So we're celebrating our 100th episode now for about 2.5 years and of talking youth sports. And we wanted to bring back some of our favorite guests. And we kind of want to ask you two questions, okay? Nothing
Okay.
long. Number one, I want to ask you, as you've seen this year, and I know your kids, you're everywhere with them. What was something that really excited you about youth sports in 2024 that you saw?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a personal experience in a way, just with one of my sons and family, because, I think that there is, and part of it is true, like the fear of the narrative. I know it was for me that youth sports and the impactful coaching is almost dead, and at least I've had that feeling about it, and almost going in so many of these situations sports wise with the thought of, well, this coach is going to be this or this coach is going to be that. And my son was playing my son's play for a pretty high end club lacrosse team called Eclipse, and they were playing this summer, and one of my sons, was kind of like a midfielder and a good player, but not like a standout. He didn't stand out, and he came up to me after one of the games at a tournament this year, and he said, "Hey, this coach, this guy named Matty Jakowoff, he said, 'Hey, Coach, Matty wants me to play defense,' and my son had never played defense before." And I said, "I don't care if he tells you to play water boy, like you go play it and do it as well as you can." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Well, he was really frustrated with the way that the defense was playing just effort wise." And he said, he knows that I'm going to play as hard as I can. And he wants me to just go play defense. And I was like, okay, that's great. And, Jeff, within like 5 minutes, totally different kid on the field. I would like played at a certain different level, but just the way he carried himself and the way that he felt about himself, and he crushed it and came off the field that day or after that game, and like he walked off the field like a different human.
Yeah.
And so like that gave me that moment, I teared up, and like that dude, that moment reminded me of how important the youth sports are, and that there's still great coaches out there, and that there still are coaches that have a vision for your child. And if you just step back and allow them in that right situation to kind of handle that, it could work. It could do stuff for your kid that you could never do for your child, no matter what you think. And so it gave me it reinstilled the hope in a way of youth sports for me, man. It was really fun to see, really fun to be a part of it. It's totally changed his life.
Isn't it great too to see your kid like that get through something like that? Like I love
The
hearing that.
best.
And last question we want to ask is again, we're celebrating our 100th episode. It's been 2.5 years. We feel like, we've seen so much positive in youth sports. What's one thing that you're really hoping to see change in 2025 in youth sports?
Yeah, we're kind of going through it now. It's funny you asked that. Is I want to encourage. I'll give you two real quick. I know we got time, so I want to encourage parents in this one. Okay, number one, I want, and I'm seeing the change in regards to like understand that every season that your kid plays is an opportunity for your kid, and it's an opportunity for you. And it doesn't have to be about the opportunity to be good at the sport or acquire all these accolades. Every season is an opportunity for your kid to learn something through that season that's going to make them better as an athlete moving forward, a brother or a sister moving forward, a son or a daughter moving forward, a person moving forward. And it may not be about how many points they scored, how many goals they scored. Every season, look at it as a parent, the opportunity for them to learn something because of that experience. Maybe it's to learn how to deal with a coach that doesn't like them, to learn how to deal with a coach that really is hard on them, to learn with it, to deal with a teammate that, you know, doesn't commit as much as they, or learn a different leadership opportunity, or learn failure in a different way. So I'm seeing parents more and more be aligned with that, you know, and not trying to control every part of that season's experience for their kid. And the second thing is I'm looking forward to more parents recapturing like what we would where we live, rec sports, the non-club, the non-AAU sports. My sons are playing rec basketball this year, which I'm thankful for because the spring with lacrosse and baseball is going to be nuts. And dude, we bring them to their rec basketball game. There's no parents screaming and yelling. They all want to go to the games early to watch their buddies play in the game before, and then all their buddies stay after and watch them play, and they're all just chatting and talking trash to each other. And it was that reemergence of like, that's youth sports, man. Like, that's youth sports. There's a dad or two coaching, no parents screaming about the result, and the kids just having fun with their friends. So I'm looking forward to kind of recapturing that.
I love that, man. Well, I tell you what, we've been honored. You've been such a huge supporter of what we're doing. One of our favorite guests, and thanks for being a part of this 100th episode, Dan.
You guys are the best, man, always.
Jeff, I love that conversation that you had with Dan. Dan is such a great guy. For those of you in our audience, I'm sure if you're watching ESPN, you know Dan Orlovsky, and if you don't know him well, we actually had him on an episode, and you get to hear a lot of his story. As he said, he's got kids that are doing this thing right now, and there was a lot of gold in what he said. But the one thing I loved was him talking about the impact coaches can make on the life of kids. And he talked about his son. I just love that. And so, coaches, you're hearing this. Don't discount what a huge impact that you can make on a day in, day out basis in youth sports. It's where kids are being formulated and their foundations being built. So, love that from Dan. Let's go to the next one.
One of my favorites and a great friend of the show, Rece Davis. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure, Jeff. Glad to be with you.
So, Reese, this is our 100th episode, and we're
Wow.
doing a little special thing where we brought 5 or 6 of our favorite people back on, and we want to ask you 2 questions: one to close 24, and one to welcome 25. So, my first question for you today would be: as you've seen in youth sports this year in 2024, and you're around it a lot with just your son and different stuff, what is one thing that you really liked that you saw maybe that you haven't seen in the past this past year?
You know, I do think that there's an increase in perspective. Now, I know sometimes that gets lost, and there are certainly numerous exceptions to that rule. But I think because of things like what you guys are doing and bringing attention to it, that there's a little bit more perspective that kids have time. You want them to participate, you want them to improve, you want them to train their skills, but they don't have to do it when they're 9. They can play and have fun when they're 9. When they're 14, 15, okay. Maybe they have to dig in a little bit more if they're going to pursue it at the highest level. But I do think, and maybe I'm being naive or Pollyannish, but I do believe that I've sensed parents and players having a little bit more perspective about when the real gains are going to be made.
Nice. I like that. So now as we look forward to 2025, which we hope is just a great year for kids and parents alike, what is one kind of thing that you might be a little concerned about, or you would like to see change this next year's 2025 comes?
I know this will never happen because some of the greatest memories that we have with Christopher growing up and playing is when we take those long road trips and play for the various travel teams, and that was great. But there is a part of me that would like to see more players stick around and play with guys in their area. It doesn't have to be just in one town, but maybe in other areas you can get a group of guys, almost like the old Legion system, which I know
Yeah.
nobody's going back to that, and it's probably good. We probably don't need to go back to that. But I would like to see some type of mechanism where guys who are good players stuck around, played with some other guys, and that might elevate everybody. At the same time, I do want to hasten to point out, I would never be against anybody pursuing whatever opportunity they wanted to. But if that is a feasible and viable option, I hope that more guys choose it.
I love that. I tell the story all the time, Reese. When I was 14, or 13, going into my eighth grade year, my dad pulled me from a travel team, and I played with all my buddies that I ended up playing high school. It was the best year I ever had. Now we got worked. We might have only won 6 or 7 games, but I was playing with my best friends. So I love that advice. I know you're a busy man, so we just thank you for what you've done for our show and being a part of this, man. It means a lot. And I know you got a busy couple weeks ahead. I know you're not going to have my Clemson Tigers on there anymore, but I will say Kate Klubnik figured it out the second half of the season.
You know what? I was so impressed when they got down 31-10. I thought it was over. And
Yeah.
they showed the fight of a champion. And I think a lot of good things are ahead in the next few years for Clemson, getting back to that glory level of winning championships.
My last question for you: is Nick Saban going to have the Indiana Jones hat on this coming week, or is he going to take that off?
The funny thing is, Jeff, I've been out to Pasadena so many times on New Year's Day, and we do that early morning show that
Yeah,
starts at
6
7 a.m.
a.m.
local.
7,
It's
yeah.
yeah, it's cold. Now, it's cold out there that time of day, so Nick might have to break out the Alabama Jones hat again for that. That was a good look on him. He pulled it off well.
Oh man. Well, we thanks for spending time with us. Thanks for your insight. Thanks for, like I said, being a great guest and friend of the show. And wish you all the Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, Reese.
Likewise, you too, Jeff. Thanks for having me on.
Man, I love the one with Rece Davis, Britt. When you think about a guy that has the toughest job maybe in all of sports, having Pat McAfee and Nick Saban and trying to keep them from killing each other every Saturday on college game day. But he is a massive advocate for youth sports. He has texted me numerous times about episodes, about different things. And one thing I love that he sees and from his kids is the loyalty. I love how he talks about it. In a day in NIL where you see athletes going here to all these teams. And he even admitted, look, it's not easy. You want your kid to be pushed, you want him to do this, but I will say this, what I loved about it is the loyalty part. Find a team, find a coach you trust, and put your kid in that situation and let them grow. The good, the bad, all of it that comes together because it's only going to make your daughter or son stronger on the back end. So I love Reese. Thank you, Reese. And let's go to our next guest. Back to Pure Athlete, Jeff here, and we have one of my favorite guests on today. Of course, Brad and Britt are still on vacation, so I'm finishing up this whole deal by myself. But one of my former teammates' wife, but of course, three-time Olympic gold medalist and a just awesome lady, Misty May-Treanor. Misty, thanks for joining us.
Oh, no problem. Good to see you again.
Yes, I'm in rainy Atlanta, and I see you're out in sunny California, so good for you. I'm happy for you.
Yes, it was 49 degrees this morning, which is very cold for us, but now it might be 60, so
Oh, good.
I don't want to rub it
Well,
in though, but
yeah, 45 and rainy here. But so, no, we are celebrating our 100th episode. So, we wanted to bring back a few of our favorite guests that we've had, um, some of the most impactful ones, and really just kind of ask a couple questions here. And so, my first question would be, you're around youth sports a lot between your kids, coaching, doing what you do. What's one thing that you saw in 2024 that kind of really excited you about youth sports while you were kind of around the landscape?
um you know what got me excited was there was a lot more women's sports on TV. I will be honest with you. It was
Yeah.
exciting to see the women's side getting up there alongside the men. But, I'm back in the gym coaching, and just to see the growth amongst the different body types, right? Different body types trying all these different sports, and just sports I never was involved with, like lacrosse, flag football. I think that's one of the most exciting things is seeing
Yes.
flag football coming to the forefront, giving another sport for these young athletes to try, and it's spreading. There's junior colleges getting it, and my friend's daughter played on the first high school team at her high school, so it's exciting. So I would say seeing flag football and new sports emerge for young female athletes is fantastic.
Yeah, I can't, you know me, I have two daughters and my oldest one plays volleyball, of course, and we were watching all the tournament. It was awesome watching Penn State win it all. That was really cool.
I know I had to look back because we actually were the first undefeated team at in the NC2A, and we played Penn State. We were both 32-0 going into the finals, and it was like, okay, or around that. But I had to see if Katie was on the team, and I don't think she wasn't in the starting lineup. So I think she came in just after and ended up winning a national championship after. But it was nice to see Penn State back up there. You want to see Louisville
Yep.
win, but
Yep.
for what the team's gone through, for what she went through, I was happy to see Penn State take it all.
Yeah, no, great one. And my final question for you would be as 2025 approaches, what is something that I don't want to, I mean, I can say concern, but what's one thing that kind of, you would like to maybe see change in youth sports here in 2025?
Can I only name one thing? I've got like a whole list of things, but
Give me a couple. Go ahead. Give it to
okay.
me.
So one of the things I would like to see loyalty. I would like to see commitment, and what I mean, those two things kind of go hand in hand. I just see too many parents pulling their kids out, jumping ship, and even at the collegiate level, athletes just jumping ship to go to a different team because they don't like it or they're not starting. So I think once you make a commitment, make the commitment and stay loyal to that commitment. And I think I'm hitting more of the college environment because
Yep.
I could go on about the transfer portal and all that, but I'm not a big fan of it. So I would like to see the loyalty and commitment come back, especially at the collegiate level. um, I think from the youth standpoint, allowing the kids to be kids, allowing the kids the freedom to try playing multi-sport, and making that okay. So I don't see 12-year-olds, 13, 14 getting surgeries. I don't like to see that and the amount of injuries. So I think allowing the kids to be kids, and some of these coaches taking the reins off a little bit and allowing themselves to say it's okay if they're going to be late to practice. They're enjoying another sport, letting them play, not be so greedy. Um, and then the last thing I think would be for us coaches and coaches across the board to really dive in and teach the fundamentals of the game. It's not about the wins right now. It's about the longevity and teaching the basics from the very start, staying patient with the kids, knowing that it's a marathon, not we got to run these kids into the ground. We've got to get them to Z before the season's over. Half of them don't know what they're doing. Oh, we can't teach this. We can't teach this kid to throw because he'll never throw. He's just gonna, or this. You see it in volleyball. Like some of the kids won't be taught to serve because they're never gonna make it to the back row. Well, they're losing a skill. So I would like to see the coaches kind of back off. Teach everybody all the skills because just never know where they're gonna end up. Teach the fundamentals so that injury prevention, the longevity is there for the kids, and the love for the game.
Man, I love it. Well,
So,
I can't thank you enough for jumping on with us, giving us a few tidbits. We are a huge fan of yours and what you do for not just youth sports but for girls volleyball. And I will let you get back to that sunny and 60 while we sit here in
oh,
the rain. So
no worry. I
congratulations.
appreciate what you and your team do. I think, you've had a bunch of great guests. I was probably one of the first guests, but you've had so
You
many
were.
great guests and so many great moments that a lot of athletes should listen to your program. So I appreciate what you and your team do.
Well, thank you so much. Here's to a great 25. Tell Matt we said hello,
I
and
will.
you're welcome back anytime. Thank you,
Thank
Misty May.
you. My love to Katie and the kids.
Oh man, I love that so much from Misty, and she said in the interview that she was one of our first guests, and I love that she talks about playing multiple sports. We hear that from so many people, but in addition to talking about playing multiple sports, she talks about playing multiple positions, and she shared a lot of that back in the episode. But the value of a kid not getting locked into one position at 9 or 10 years old, or even in high school, playing multiple positions and learning different skill sets is super valuable, and it's just going to help them down the road.
You know what, Britt, to add to that too, as a dad with two daughters
Mm.
playing sports now, I love how she talked about just how the women's game has been elevated. Different athletes have helped it out, but how cool for me to be able to watch, the national championship volleyball game with my daughter and just sit here and they can see, for years past, you never saw women's sports on TV. And now for my daughter to be like, man, that could be me out there playing on ESPN in the national championship. I just think it's so cool, and I think it's only going to grow. I think we're seeing great personalities from these female athletes, and we're seeing how talented they really are. So I love that too. Welcome back to Pure Athlete. Jeff here, my two partners, one skiing, the other at Disney World, and I'm putting in the work here for as we celebrate our 100th episode. And one of our favorite episodes was none other than my neighbor, Mark DeRosa. Mark, how's it going, brother?
I'm doing great. I'm doing
Did you have
great,
a good,
Jeff.
you have a good Christmas?
I did. We had a great Christmas. We actually nailed this Christmas. My mom flew in. Everyone got what they wanted. It's getting a little easier. We don't miss on the gifts anymore.
Yeah, a little bit easier, no doubt. But, well, first off, we want to say thanks for always supporting us here at Pure Athlete. Our 100th episode, and we wanted to bring back some of our favorite guests and really just ask you two simple questions. And my first one for you is, I know you have Brooks, who's in ninth grade now, playing the travel ball circuit and all that, and not just baseball related, but what's one thing looking back in 2024 that you might have saw that you felt very encouraged about as far as what youth sports goes?
I mean, I think the encouraging thing for me, Jeff, what I get the most gratification from coaching is you could tell these kids, and they're super talented kids, you could tell them till they're blue in the face how good they are. But until they have a moment on the field, they don't truly believe it. Um, so I think the biggest thing for me this year was watching some of the kids at the bottom of our order become middle of the order lineup guys. And I think as it continues to grow and we take this thing 15, 16, 17, and 18, I always tell the bottom of the order, you might be hitting in the middle of the order for us by the time you're 17 years old. So to see kids start to understand the whys of the game, to develop, to have some moments, I think that's been the biggest thing for me. Kind of in this whole getting caught up in this whole travel ball circuit. I mean, they're facing some sick competition. We saw some crazy competition the entire summer and even in the fall. And for them to kind of have these moments, especially some of the bottom of the order kids, it was really gratifying.
Man, I love that. So 2025, I know with Pure Athlete, we got a lot of exciting stuff coming up this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. But for you, not just in baseball, but in all sports, what's one thing that you think in 2025 you would like to see changed or would like to see more of in youth sports?
Well,
Don't hold back. Let it go.
if it's never going to happen. There's no loyalty to town anymore. Where when I
Yep.
grew up, that's the biggest thing, and I don't blame them. I mean, if you can't beat them, join them. It's like my son faced pitching this summer and fall as an eighth grader going into his ninth grade year that I saw on a midweek game in college. It's just bigger, stronger, faster now. To be honest with you, I mean, we occasionally ran into the big time arm, but on the average, that what they're seeing now, I was so blown away with. Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is the fact that you don't want not everybody has to get a scholarship. Not everybody has to hit third on their varsity team. Not everybody has to go on and play in the big leagues like we did. That was my dream. We did the things when no one was watching because that's what we wanted to become. Some of these kids that play baseball just want the team aspect that I think it could help them go on in life. Everything I've ever done, from the TV show to raising my kids, I go back to stuff I learned in football. I really do. My biggest thing is I want as many kids playing sports, regardless of where it ends up. I don't want everyone to think they have to be on the best travel team in the country for them to have some type of social circle around them. I don't think that's fair. I think you can get a lot of just positive attributes out of just competing and just getting after it and practicing, committing to something and caring about it and wanting to have a moment and all that stuff. So that's my biggest thing. I don't think it's changing though. I think the model right now, it's just so strong in the competition these kids are facing. I just would hate to see the kid that maybe would have blew up as a 17-year-old that's not getting that opportunity as a 12-year-old give up on it.
Yeah. Yep.
That's my biggest thing. So more avenues, not everybody. I would tell this to the parents. Do not create your kind of lot in life or the way you feel about yourself based on what travel team your kid's playing on. I think as long as he's playing and he's competing and he's committing to something and there's a glimmer of some athletic ability, I think you stay after it.
I love it, man. I love it. That's such good stuff. And we thank you for joining us. One of the best to do it. We'll let you get back to the end of the Navy Oklahoma guy again. But as the best host on MLB Central, real quick for all our listeners, who's going to win the World Series this year? Right now. And
Right
second, quick,
now.
right now, real quick. And who's a sleeper team? Real quick, 30 seconds.
I mean, if you're laying money, I mean, it'd probably be the Dodgers repeating with the pitching staff they've been able to. I think a sleeper team, they're not done yet. I think Boston Red Sox are a sleeper team. I'd like to see them make one more move, but I love the Garrett Crochet trade. I love picking up Walker Buehler, keep him healthy, especially in October. They do one or two more things. I like them.
I love it. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. The man, Mark DeRosa,
All right.
quarterback of Penn.
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy.
See you,
Merry
bud.
Christmas.
You too.
Man, I love Mark DeRosa. Britt, he's my neighbor,
Yep.
D-Row, who's the
Yep.
manager at Team USA. He's very outspoken, but what I love that he talked about was play sports. Get your kids out there to play sports. It doesn't matter how competitive it is, but I love what he said, the life lessons that you learn from sports. And I will continuously say this. I know I've said it 100 times and people hear it. I want my kids to play sports because of the life lessons they will learn, the work ethic, being a good teammate, those type things. They might not take you to college or pro level, but parents, at the end of high school, and if your kid's done and you look back on the journey, it's not going to be the dollars you spent, this and that. It's going to be the daughter, the woman that they become, the man that they become as you send them out on their way. So I love how D-Row talks about that. And it's just so important for people to understand. Push your kids to play sports. Any sport, just get on a team and play. So I loved what D-Row said.
Hey, Jeff, can I pile on to that? Because
Yeah.
my kids are done, and
Yeah.
and I can just tell you and tell all the parents out there that I see the fruit of that. I see the life lessons. I see the grit coming out in different ways. I see them bouncing back after struggling in certain areas. I see them being a good teammate, even though they played an individual sport. They also played team sports in their secondary, and I see them in the work environment. Knowing how to work with people. So, man, kudos to what D-Row had to say,
Yep.
but it's a great reminder for us as parents.
No doubt. And I think let's get to our next guest, our final guest. It's one of our favorites and just one of the
Mm.
most incredible stories I think you'll ever see. So you'll enjoy this one. I got my main man here, one of our first episodes we ever did, and one of the most impactful, empowering ones, Inky Johnson. Inky, thank you for joining us, my man.
My guy, Jeff, man, I greatly appreciate it. I'm a fan of the platform, grateful for the opportunity to join and tell my guys that's on vacation, enjoy it, live it up, man.
Ex-
Recharge.
exactly. They need it. They have been busting it. So I want to ask you two questions real quick. My first one would be, I know your kids play sports. I know you're around the platform. You're around it all the time. What's one thing looking back at 2024 that really excited you about youth sports? Something that really brought some emotion out for you that you were like, you know what? That's pretty cool.
Man, I share with you, man, like I'm a fan of the platform. And so I watch just to get different perspective, hear different advice and insight from different people. And one of the things that I always love that you speak about is just letting kids advocate for themselves with situations, opposition, adversity. And so as a father this past year, just let my kids grow through adversity, through opposition, seeing how they responded, but also just taking my hands off the process a little bit, and watching them work through struggles, watching them work through things that were challenging for them, man. And that was something that was exciting for me because it showed me a different side of them, but it also put me in a different space as a parent to be able to speak to other parents when their kids encountered struggles, adversity, and opposition to say, hey, man, they're going to be fine. Let them work through it. Let them advocate, and they'll be fine.
Man, I love that. There's nothing better than watching your kids struggle through adversity, man, but then come
Absolutely.
out the other side and that light bulb goes off, man. It
For
is
sure.
pure joy. I love it. So my next question would be then final one for you here is as 2025 approaches, we all love youth sports. We all love being a part of it, the lessons. But what's one thing that you're really looking forward to that, man, if Inky could say, I really wish this would change for kids to be able to experience something?
No, man, as we enter, just 2025, in terms of the landscape with youth sports, one of the things that, I wish I can witness, I wish I could just change, and I try to do my best, is just the ecosystem and the environment around youth sports and kids. Just being a place of inspiration, a place of encouragement for the kids to remember that, man, hey, man, this is about life skills. This is about these young people developing. This is about these young people extracting things from the things that they're a part of and applying it to everyday life. And I say to people all the time, sometimes you go in environments, man, and you can feel it. Like it feels as if people don't want kids to do well. Whether that's a competitor, whether it's, hey, I want my kid to do well, but I don't want other kids to do well. They're
Yep.
kids. And so when we have these environments and ecosystems, like just have it full of inspiration and encouragement, man, so these kids can always get the big picture of what it's really about. In 3 to 4 years, kids can say, hey, man, I'm done with sports, great run, and they can transition to something else. All right, cool. But they'll always remember the environment. Jeff, I always think about the Maya Angelou quote that says, people may forget what you do, people may forget what you say, but people will never forget the way you make them feel. And these environments that we set for the youth, man, they'll never forget how we make them feel. In spite of their successes, in spite of their failures, they will never forget these environments, these circumstances, and how we make them feel.
Man, I love that. Parents, you can't ask for a better explanation of something for this next year. And I'll tell you, we thank the pride and joy of Vol Nation, Inky Johnson, for coming on with us, baby. But hey, Merry Christmas, man. Happy holidays to your family. And we appreciate your support, but we appreciate what you do, man, putting out the word. Love
Yes,
following you.
sir. I appreciate you guys, man. Happy holidays. Thank you guys so much.
Jeff, man, I can't think of a better person to end this episode on than Inky Johnson. As you think about getting inspired as a parent or as a coach or even as an athlete, God, the guy is so inspirational. If you've missed Inky's story, you have to go back and listen to the episode. It is so powerful and so moving. What I love that he talked about, in the 5 minutes with you is just talking about rooting for kids, rooting for other kids, and parents rooting for other kids, and not getting so wrapped up just in yourself. But he talks about making kids feel the experience and remember the way that youth sports made them feel. So hey, as parents, let's get out there and let's cheer for everybody, not just our own kid.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. And I'll tell you what, he is. I can listen to Inky all day. I mean, I've looked at all his teams he's talked to, and I think Inky's got so much he can talk about to a team on the mountaintop, a team at the very bottom of the valley trying to work their way back. He is just an incredible human being.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. We're going to be talking to him real soon about being part of PA Plus.
Yep.
Inky, we need you, man. You're so. Thanks for the inspiration.
You know,
Uh,
Brett, as I look back at 24 for me, I'm around it. I'm out there in every sport with all the kids right now. I think of the thing that if you were to ask me that, like what did you see? I would say three things: smile, laughters, and tears. All year coaching, right? I saw the kids smile. They're having fun. They're loving it. They're laughing. Number two, they're enjoying themselves, whether it's in the dugout, whether it's in the middle of a tough point after a volleyball match, the girls, the boys laughing, knowing that they're having a blast playing. And number three, the tears. I love it because I see tons of kids that have been crying after losses or after tough. It means they care. There's a reason we're doing this. And it's because we want to help parents and we want to help kids. We want to help coaches better this experience. And the fact that these kids care, they're showing passion is exactly why parents are listening to these athletes on our podcast and these other guests that we've had. And it's the reason that we do it, right? We do it to teach them these lessons. So I just think that's so cool. Smile, laughters, and tears, man. I saw it all this year, and I'm here for all the emotions that go with youth sports and the difficulties, but also the great experiences. So I would ask you, Britt, as we look to 2025, I know your kids are growing, but what's one thing that you would like to see kind of change in youth sports?
as I think about 2025, if I could have one resolution on behalf of youth sports, it would be this whole culture that we have in sports of, I can't remember who said it. You may remember, but the name of the jersey, the name on the front of the jersey is more important than the name on the back of the jersey. And we have this me mentality that we see all the time. And if we as parents can help our kids recognize what we just talked about, cheering for other kids, being a great teammate, is just going to make the whole experience better than being so focused on yourself and what you did and what you can post. And for parents too, the name on the front of the jersey, more important than the name on the back of the jersey. If we could bring that into our culture in a stronger way in 25, I think we'd all enjoy it a whole lot more.
Yeah, I love that, man. And, for me, I'll be honest with you, live in the moment. That's what I want to tell these parents, man. I talk to you, I talk to Brad. Y'all's kids are done. They've had the experiences, and we get caught, right, in such a time of, well, if we do this, this, and this in 3 years, my kid should be able to do this. And it's like, don't worry about next year. Don't worry about, think about 2025, parents, coaches, and kids. How can I get better? How can I continue to rise my game to that next level and improve? But live in the moment, live pitch by pitch, live, you know, game by game. And I think if we do that, we're going to enjoy our kids so much more. We're going to enjoy watching them so much more. And they're going to enjoy playing so much more than thinking about, gosh, I'm in sixth grade. In 2 years, I got to try out for the eighth grade team. That time's going to come. Don't make it faster than it's got to be, right? We always talk about them. Let them be kids as long as they can be kids. So I think enjoy where they're at in their journey and live in the moment. And I think if they do that, it'll be great. And so, again, I'm tickled to death with this episode. I think it's so cool to hear back from some of these athletes. We did this literally a couple days before Christmas, a couple days after Christmas, and it was cool to be able to see it all come together. And I look forward to 2025. There's so much more. I mean, we have two or three more things that in the next 4 or 5 weeks that are going to be coming that are going to be huge for not only us getting access to these athletes and these people, but giving parents and giving coaches a lot more dialogue. So again, Happy New Year. 2025 is going to be awesome. And Britt, I will let you have the last word on this episode.
Well, those are great, uh, great challenges for our parents out there about living in the moment. Love that. I'll just finish off by saying Happy New Year as well. And thanks so much to all of you. Just a reminder that later this month, we're going to be introducing PA Plus. So you're going to hear PA Plus a lot. It's going to be exciting. We're super excited about the opportunity for it to have real impact out there on parents, on families, on kids, on coaches, and on the overall youth sports culture. So, Jeff, thanks for doing all you did on this episode. And until next week, everybody have a Happy New Year.
Bye, guys.